Yeah, some of you may be saying, yeah, you're for this IMANI people book long, you're going to want to go and register small to look at all these numbers. Money is not everything. We will grant you that. The world is not all about money. Yeah, that's $100 and something million. If they spent a little bit of it on dialysis machines for Ghana, we'll do much better. If you ask people what is the waiting period for dialysis machines in Ghana, you'll be shocked. The whole country does not have even more than 150 dialysis machines. If you have somebody who has a kidney problem, ask them the waiting period to get dialysis. And when you get that dialysis, how much it costs. This amount of money, the $150 million, can bring Ghana's kidney management program to the WHO's best practice. So think of it, it's not just money, but we'll grant you that money is not everything. And we'll move on and say, is it possible that the actions of the EC can now go beyond losing money and start to affect the quality of our elections? Some of you may say that is more important to me because democracy is expensive, so maybe we should just spend a little bit more and get better quality. And even if there are stealing some money left and right, or they are doing whatever with the money, and I don't know for sure, let's just get the election going. Our second point to you is that in addition to cost, there's also risk, and particularly the risk that because of their actions, the elections you are going to have, not this year, secondly, the year after, may be far less quality and stable than what you've had before. Why? We'll go through it. Usually, when you want to look at the risk, you want to look at the dimensions, the places through which that risk can come. So if you buy a car and you are drunk, the drunkenness can lead you to get in an accident. It's a risk factor. We are going to focus on only one risk factor because we don't have time. And we will show you why that risk factor is sufficient to explain the problem. It's the risk factor of newness. New things. New things tend to be more problematic. What do I mean by that? The existing system that we've had it for long enough that we've learned to use it very well. If you go and buy a new system and you don't install and implement it properly, you can create more problems. But I'm going to give you evidence for it. Don't just take my word for it. So our argument is that the risk of the new platform, re-registering everybody, is far more than using a system that has delivered so many elections since 2012. And our first piece of evidence, using the observer data reports. Remember, every time we're having an election, you have these UU people, you have our own people called Codeo go around and they inspect and they file reports. IMANI has mined each and every one of those reports and studied reports about breakdowns in polling stations. And we find out in 2012, when we first implemented this biometric solution, 33% of polling stations had problems. In fact, if you remember, in 2012, in some situations, it was so bad that we postponed the election for one more day. Remember that time? Yeah. It's the only time it has happened, the only time it has ever happened, because it was a brand new system. In 2016, we had learned to use the system a bit more. It dropped down to 7.5%. In 2019, when we did the district election, the number of polling stations where you had the breakage went down to 5%. That tells you something. It tells you we're getting better at using the system, and therefore we're having fewer and fewer failures. If you implement a whole new system, you may lose that knowledge that has led to a reduction of the failure rate. We also know that the EC said some people, when you put your finger on, even if though it's you, the system says it's not you, and they have to do manual verification. And we have had a number of those episodes. So it means that the machines are getting old, and we have to buy new machines. Let me explain in very quick terms. I'm going to give you a crash course in biometric technology. Last just 2 seconds. Take your finger. There's a fingerprint. Assume that the fingerprint is just 100 points. There's 100 points on your finger. And the system tries to pick up those points to see if it's you or not. And if it's 98, it will allow it. If it's 95, it will allow it. Let's say if it's 92, it says no, it's not you. Think of it that way. What are the conditions under which it may not be 92 or 99? Maybe there's a cut on your finger. Maybe there was some grease. Maybe there was some dust. So every biometric system you have by nature cannot be 100%. Because your finger doesn't stay 100% what it is, right? Now you have to set the system to say, if it's 85, allow it. If it's 70, don't allow it. That brings in an element of discretion. Our argument is that it's over time that we've learned what is the right balance to enable enough people who are truly who they are to qualify and those who are not to reject it. That gives you 2 principles. If you make it too high, If you say if it's not 99 of all the points, reject the person. If somebody has 2 cards and so 2 points are missing, the system will say no. If you make it too low and it's 70, 2 people can begin to look alike and therefore they can pass through the system. That is what you are generally fighting about. So, simple point. If the EC says that only 0.6% of people could not be verified by the machine, you have to compare it with other systems in the world. And we've done that, and we found out that in India, it can go as high as 5%, in Indonesia as high as 3%. So our less than 1% is perfect. Because it's a probabilistic system. You can't get 100% ever. The fingerprint will never stay the same throughout a person's life, because even if you put palm oil on it, it can change it a little bit. But it also shows you that you have to set a level which is acceptable. Because if you set it too high, you lose people. Now that setting process, I'm arguing, is happening over a number of years through try and error, because we don't have an explicit policy in Ghana that says this is the threshold. And if you start all over again, you have to relearn all that processes. And we know from other countries that every time you implement a new biometric system, you have problems. In Nigeria, when they implemented their very first one, the system rejected the president of Nigeria. We know that in Kenya, when they tried to implement their very first one, it's so bad that they abandoned it and left the system and just went back to the old system. We know that if you go to a place like Afghanistan, it goes so bad they couldn't see what to do. They have to invite the people that actually made the machines to fly from Germany and come to Afghanistan. It took them 64 days to release results. So new systems generally cause more problems. In the same way with data, registering new people all over again versus using the existing data and clean it up. You cannot tell me that registering people all over again, 17 million people in 36,000 different locations in this country, will be smoother than that.